of music, man?
Music. All right, man. So when I was a little kid, I was in church, and my grandmother played in church, and my grandfather was a choir director. My uncle played in church, and my aunt, the whole family, and so I started getting into it really, really young, 2 years old or something. I'm told anyway. I was, singing in church, and my uncle Carl played guitar in church, and he used to play. I was mentioned this to you on the phone. He used to play with like Roy Clark and Jimmy Dean and stuff. He was just incredible. And I mean, obviously, I didn't know any of that when I was a kid, but I used to go and like sit on his knee, in church while he was playing. And even though I didn't pick up the guitar till years later, I think that was really, what kind of did it. I think, as far as the guitar goes.
Well,
Really been doing it my whole life.
That sounds like a great beginning.
Yeah.
Have you always been a writer?
Yeah. I think, I would always scribble things, kind of, maybe lines or whatever. I think I used to write poetry and stuff, or at least, my version of whatever that would be, kind of thing. I was a kid, and I was coming into my own and figuring things out and learning how to do things. And there's a vast difference between poetry and lyrics, and I had to find that out, the hard way, because 7, 8, 9 minute songs don't work. At least
unless you're Bob Dylan.
Yeah, right. And I was not, nor am I still. Yeah, man. I think I've been writing since I was, as long as I can remember.
And you wanted to move to New York because?
Right. So I knew. Okay. So I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and there's a lot of beautiful arts, and there's art schools. The arts are cool down there, but it's different than what I do. It's a total different bag. And I knew that for what I do, I couldn't do it there. I would never get past, 4, 5, 6 nights a week at restaurants. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I wanted to do. And so I knew that it had to be some sort of a big hub. I knew it had to be New York or Nashville or LA. And it really just kind of came down to connections. I mean, I didn't really have any connections anywhere. And my grandparents lived in Center Reach, and their next door neighbor...
On Long Island.
That's right, yeah.
Center Reach.
Yeah, and so their next door neighbor was this guy named Ozzy Melendez. Ozzy Melendez is this, world-renowned trombone player. He's just Ozzy to me, because I've known him since I was 6. And they did the typical thing, hey, my grandson plays music and stuff, and I'm sure, okay, that's great. And one day I was up, I was in the backyard, I was visiting, and I was playing my guitar in the back, and it was like a scene from Home Improvement, like when Wilson sticks his head over the fence like this kind of thing, and he's like, hey man, is that you? So he comes over and we start talking.
That was Ozzy,
That was Ozzy, yeah. And so we start talking. He wants to hear some of my stuff, and he was really kind, because I look back and I mean, I'm not sure if I would have had me at that age come up and do some of the stuff that he had me do. I think he saw a lot of potential in what I could be, a little bit more so than maybe what I was currently doing. Because I mean, I was green, man, really, really green.
Of course.
And
it's the beginning.
Yeah. And so he had me come up. I did a bunch of demos with him, acoustic ones, and they came out great. I was all excited. It was like my first time recording in New York and stuff, and it was in his basement. But I mean, for me, I was like, oh man, I'm recording in New York, And fast forward a couple years, I come back up and I do some full band demos. Now he gets these guys involved that I have no idea who they are. Most of which I didn't even meet. So Mike Sorrentino ended up playing drums, and it's very funny in full circle, because here we are all these years later, and he's the drummer in my band. He stuck by me through all of it. This guy's recorded on just about almost everything that I've done pretty much since then.
Mike.
Yeah. And I'd have it no other way. I love him.
He's a great player.
Yeah, and he's a great guy too. I love the guy. So also on that session was Carmine Giglio, who I didn't even meet that guy until a few years ago. So he was, it was the thing. We did basic tracks. He came in after the fact, and I was already back in North Carolina. But he was awesome. I didn't know who he was. And just so happens he's playing with us now too. So it's this really weird circular thing. A couple other, there was Jack Knight was on there. He's an amazing bass player, and Dennis Delgadio was on there.
Dennis, great guitar player
Yeah,
too.
I mean, so I got really lucky, and because of Ozzy's friends with all these real killer players, and he goes, I've got this thing I'm doing with this kid, man. Why don't you come help me out? And so I was lucky enough to be able to have that caliber of people on songs that might not have deserved that caliber of people at the time, But it's
Well, when you listen back to them, are you embarrassed or saying,
No.
This is good?
No, I'm not embarrassed. We all have things that we're embarrassed about and moments that we're embarrassed about. I'm not embarrassed about that because a few things. Number one, Ozzy did such a good job. He made it sound probably better than it really did. But also, it's part of my journey, man. I think if it weren't for those things, I wouldn't have made the record I just made. If it weren't for that type of experience, I would have never been sitting here with you now. So. No, I'm not embarrassed by it. I mean, I wouldn't maybe pitch it to a radio station or a label.
Well, but there's a natural progression as a musician.
Yeah.
First off, you learn how to tune a guitar.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, how many recordings have you heard that are out of tune?
A lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's really the way it goes.
Yeah.
You can't. You can teach someone how to tune.
Yeah.
But you really can't.
Yeah.
So now we come to a point in time where you've done this recording, and you're in New York now, and who disappeared?
Oh yeah. So Ozzy's very sought after. Okay.
He's out on.
Yeah, he's out with everybody. His credits are insane. It still blows my mind, and it's kind of like I'm this kid and I'm all excited. I'm gonna move up to New York, and I didn't know what to think. Like I said, I was very, very, very green. And I don't know if I thought, well, I'm gonna move to New York and he's gonna introduce me to all these people and I'm gonna be on my way. I don't.
Well, that was probably one of your fantasies.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. Not even close to reality. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a working musician.
Of
God
course.
bless him. He's got to put food on the table.
He's got to eat. Yeah.
So I come up here and he's gone. I mean, he's on tour with all the, with J-Lo and Mark Anthony, all crazy people. With
Funk Philharmonic.
Yeah, same Ozzy, and so here I am, and I'm like, well, what do I do now? I know how to bartend,
Probably make more money doing that than
probably,
playing clubs.
probably did. So I started bartending, and I got really lucky. My first bartending gig up here was in Port Jeff, and I was downstairs bartending, and I hear this band upstairs, and I wasn't nuts about the band, but the singer, I was like, whoa, who's that? So I make my way upstairs, and I'm checking it out and stuff, and I'm fresh. I've only been here a few weeks at this point, right? And it was Karen Caterich singing, and so I introduced myself. We hit it off. We've been like brother and sister ever since. I love her to death, and so that was kind of the beginning of my introduction to people on the island because I didn't know anybody.
Of course.
And so she's like, well, hey, I know these guys that do these jams. This guy Jim Moran and Ed, all these guys. And so we go down to the Dirty Martini in Ronkonkoma. You know that place? Yeah. And so and they were doing this jam there, and that was when I got introduced to them, and and then the whole thing began.
Was that a Jim Moran jam?
Yeah. Yep. The king of the Long Island jams. You know what I'm saying?
And the city.
And the city. Yeah.
Got
No
that
kidding.
thing going on for a long time.
Dude's been doing it for a long time. God bless him.
Him and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is by name Canada's gig, but Jimmy and most of the players on that gig have been. It's a pretty steady band.
Totally, yeah. Well, and Richie's whole thing is like, when he introduces him, this is a guy that's never been late, nor has he ever missed a gig ever since he's been with me, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Moran. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
he's a loyal dude.
He's a good guy too.
Yeah.
I know him for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way long.
Yeah.
Yes. Where we both had full heads of hair.
Yeah.
So now you've got all of this stuff going on. You're writing music,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna jump from the demos
Yeah.
to the record.
Yeah.
Now you've got a deal where you're gonna find a studio in Nashville to record in.
Yeah.
For some reason, you wanted to go to Nashville because there's
Yeah.
a lot of good studios there and lots of talent there.
Yeah.
Now you took some of the New York players into that. Some of your guys from here.
Okay, so sort of. So the way that it broke down was, as a writer, and when I was really cutting my teeth and really like learning the craft, you know, I would work with a lot of these guys from Nashville, and you know, and I would learn how to write in these different styles and these different things, and so being a cover musician, right? You become a chameleon, right?
Sure.
So the same was true in the writing, which is cool, and it you know proved to be an asset later, but in all of that, it was still a lot of me trying to find myself, right? So I was writing rock stuff, I was writing R&B stuff, I was writing country stuff, you know, and it took a while to figure out like, well, this is who I am, and like, you know, so I went to Austin to record, and I recorded here and did stuff at Ritchie's studio, you know, and. I was, you know, and it took a while to figure out, nah, this is my path. This is where I need to be, and that's what led me to Nashville. And because I knew of this guy David Huff, and he you know, he's got his hands in just about everything down there. I mean, the guy's you know, extremely successful, and we had mutual friends, and so. I was working on this Bonnie Tyler record, and I just kind of said, hey man, you know, I can get you down there and introduce you to a really badass, you know, producer. And we're with David Huff, and that began the working relationship with David, and that was kind of when we started, you know, talking about the idea of doing a solo thing for me. Anyway, the record with Bonnie Tyler was called Rocks and Honey, and it came out great. I had a song on there that I had written called Love Is the Knife, and it became a single in Europe, and it did great for me. It didn't do great as far as charts. It did great for me because it was like, here I am in this place that I've never been, you know, as a writer, as a, you know, as an industry sort of whatever. Like I'm just this is all new to me, and so it was really great for me to have that experience.
Great entree.
Yeah. And so David and I stayed close. We became really good buddies, and a few years later, it was time to make this record, and I just knew he was the guy. So
what studio did you end up in?
Blackbird.
Blackbird.
Yeah, that was crazy.
The McBride studio.
Yeah, that's right. That was crazy, man. If you don't know where you're going, you'll drive right past it. It's so, you know, it's so unassuming, and like
outside. Outside.
Oh yeah.
Inside, it's amazing.
Oh my God, it's really something to be seen.
Yeah.
You know, they've got an academy there, and they've got a museum there, and it's insane. And I got to, you know, I got access to stuff that I never otherwise would have. I mean, I would have never been in that studio. I would have never had access to those players, to those you know, guitars like what we talked about. You know,
D28.
That was crazy. When he pulled out that Martin, like, I mean, I'm probably still picking my jaw up off the ground. I couldn't believe he'd let me even touch it, let alone play it. You know.
Well, if they ain't being played.
Yeah. Well, the coolest thing about him, he said, look, man, these instruments are meant to be played, and I want to hear them on records. And I think that this stuff deserves to have an instrument like this on it, and I want you to use it.
And that's probably one of the reasons why Blackbird has got all those amazing credits. You know, it's not just about selling studio time there, it's about making amazing
great
records. Yeah.
You know,
by the way, can we still call them records?
I do.
Okay.
Why not? What are we going to call them? You know, data? You know, in this day and age.
Exactly. So that D28 ended up on Just Drive.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So here I am in the studio, and I had my Martin, which you know, to me, it's a great guitar, but in comparison to those things, it's just, you know, my little old Martin kind of thing, you know. And I'd already tracked it, and he comes in, John comes in, and he's wanting to take a listen or whatever else, and that's when he kind of said, "Hey man, I really like this stuff. I kind of hear a couple of different guitar tones on this. Would you mind if maybe?" You know, I'm thinking, no, I don't mind at all.
When you're talking to a guy like that.
Yeah, it's John McBride. You know what I mean?
And all that stuff.
Yeah. So 20 minutes later, these interns walk in, and they've got these, you know, guitars in their hands, and he was all excited because that's one of the cool things about him too is that there's nothing fake about it. Like, he's just really excited about what he does. And I think that really comes across to people too. Not only the fact that they care about making great records, but the fact that you know, he's such an awesome, he's an awesome guy. He's such a kind guy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, but his excitement for music and his excitement for what he does, I mean, it's infectious. You can feel it.
And it's important.
It's really
when you
important,
have somebody
man.
that's excited about the music that you're putting together
Yeah.
in his place.
I mean, what do you want? Some monotone dude to be like, yeah,
That sounds really good.
yeah, that's great. It's gonna be a hit.
By
You
the
know what I
way-
mean? Like,
by the
come
way,
on.
you want to hit this?
Right. So this guy, he's all excited about one of the guitars, and he goes, "Hey, you know that song by Sugarland? Why Don't You Stay?" I'm like, yeah, I know that song. Yeah, well, they recorded that here, and they used this guitar right here. You should use this one right here. And so he pulls out this, I don't even know what it is. It's like an early 60s J45.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up tracking with that one. And he broke out he goes, because I have a 63 reissue Strat, right? And he says, "Man, I love that one. Hey, have you ever played a real 63 though?" I'm like, "No." "Well, let's go get one of those." So he brings in a real 63 with like this old matchless, and I mean, it's just the tones, you know. Mm-hmm. And then in walks this Martin, and he was because he had just heard Rosewood, and he had just heard Just Drive. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Man, I think this guitar would be perfect on those, man." And I open it up, and it's a 1941 Martin D28 herringbone, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this right now.
Yeah.
Like, am I allowed to touch it? Like, you know, because the guitar is worth, like, you know,
A
as
lot of
much as
money.
a house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's unreal. And maybe not a house on Long Island, but a house anywhere else.
A house someplace.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes, "Man, look, these, yeah, you can touch it. I want you to use it because these guitars are meant to be played and they're meant to be on records, and I want to hear your stuff with this."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
What a great attitude.
Oh, what a great attitude. So here we are, and I had already tracked it with my Martin. So David goes to play it back on these big speakers. I didn't know which one it was, you know, because and so he goes, "Sad, what do you think?" "Man, this sounds incredible." He goes, "Yeah, you think so? What about now?"
Now.
And he hits the button, and now it's the old one, and the room just fills up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They can
And it
do
was
that.
like, wow.
They can really do that.
I mean, how would I know? I've never had access to that. So.
An instrument that's, you know, that kind of instrument has got a whole series of overtones that you don't even know about.
No.
Because you never hear them.
No. I mean, you know, and I mean, I can't explain. All I can tell you is how it feels and how it sounds.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much just wow.
It is.
You know?
I know. That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that just, you have to hear it to believe it.
Yeah.
You know, seeing is believing, hearing is believing.
Yeah.
Now, you go through all of this.
Yeah.
You put together this great bit of music, and the name of the new album is?
Just Drive, the album.
There you go.
Yeah.
How nice. And are we attached to a label yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Nope. Everything's been done independently. You know, and it's just been, I kind of wanted to get it as far as I could my way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I very much appreciate that.
Yeah, and then because no man is an island, and everybody's going to reach a point where they just can't take it any further on their own.
Yep.
And you know, but I wanted to take it as far as I could, without having everybody else tell me what I should have done or should be doing or blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Or we're not, you know, not giving you that D28 to record with.
Oh, good Lord, man, that guitar. God.
So you're looking for management now.
Yeah. You know, so we've been talking to some different managers and agents and stuff. I think that's where this is. The product is done now. The album's done, and it's.
And you have a band to back it up.
Yeah, man. I'm very lucky to have a really killer band, and I mean it's ready to go, and so I think that now is the time that all makes sense. You know.
Mm-hmm. And that band has got some amazing players in it,
Yeah.
including Carmine.
Yeah.
And Mike.
Yeah, that's right.
And Mr. Burns.
That's right.
From Billy Joel's band.
That's right.
Tommy Burns.
Yeah.
Amazing Long Island guitar player.
Yeah.
Who's been here forever and has had a very successful career. He's been with, and I didn't know this, he's been with Billy Joel for 30 years now.
Yeah, 1990.
Amazing.
Yep.
Just amazing.
Yep.
Good player. Sounded great at my father's place with you.
Yeah. He always does.
You guys were killing it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I love playing with him. It's really strange because every now and again I have to remind myself, hey man, that's Tommy over there, because in the moment we play off each other really well for whatever reason, and so
because you both have ears, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you both have ears.
Yeah, and you know, I get caught up in the moment with him, and we just roll, and we're just two guitar players just trying to chase that. You know, we're just trying to chase that moment, chase that sound, chase that high, and every now and again I'm just like, hey man, that's Tommy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really cool.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand.
He's a great guy though, man.
Yeah, he's a very nice person.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself in a year?
Well, doing what I'm doing now, just in an elevated way, meaning like I want to be touring, I want to be supporting the record, supporting the music, playing everywhere that I can to really support this craft. But not just that, but writing for other folks. You know, I want to continue doing the film work, you know, that I've been doing, like writing music for that stuff, and TV. You know, just everything that I'm doing, just expanding. You know, because every day I just want to grow as a person, as a musician, as a writer. And I want that expansion. That's really my goal. I don't, you know, I just feel like just a continuation of that. You know what it is? It's like I mean that really is how I feel. Like I feel like everything that I'm doing now, like I worked hard for it. I'm proud of it.
Sure.
And I just want that to continue, and just to continue leveling up. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's every musician's dream.
Yeah.
To actually put all those practice hours and writing hours to good use, as opposed to just sitting home and practicing and writing.
Yeah.
Get out and play it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for me, that's where it is. I think that, you know, my goals, I'm sure, are similar to some and different than others. You know, but definitely, I mean, I was born to be doing this, man. And so if I can't really do anything else. So this is who I am, and this is what I do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate you coming over here and talking with us, and letting our viewers hear it from you.
Thank
directly.
you. Yeah.
JD, I appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you, brother. It's good to see you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Out here in the backwoods on a dirt road with nothing